Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, July 26th. So today we have the moon in its place of power in Cancer all day. Of course, we shifted into Cancer energy yesterday. We had a little bit of a bumpy energy day yesterday. Our thoughts were probably our own worst enemy. We had a lot of internal battles. And today we are probably going to shift gears just a tad, more so down into the feels instead of being trapped in the mental plane. But we're probably going to run into some bumpy terrain and territory because we are entering into the new moon window. We will be having the new moon in Leo on Thursday. And as we get closer and closer to that event, of course, there is less and less of the moon in the sky, giving us our dark moon event. And we sit in the shadows. We kind of sit in the funk, sit in the feels in order for us to realize what it is that we are done and completely over experiencing and what it is out of that we are going to set new intentions for. And of course, that gives us our new moon energy. This is also a very interesting day because this is the very first day of the brand new galactic new year. I want to talk about that for just a second. So, if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you may already know that the calendar system that we live by is not the right calendar. It is a capitalistic, made-up calendar to overlap with some of the most powerful, energetic holidays, if you will. And of course, it was designed in order to keep us in a very distraught, disorganized, and dishonest system. When we look at the Mayan calendar, we know that there are 13 different moons and that the month has 28 days. That equals 364 days of the year. Yesterday, July 25th, is known as the day out of time. That is our +1. That gives us 365 days out of our year. And typically speaking, July 25th, the day out of time, is supposed to be a very high energetic day, an energy portal, a universal day for prayer, for peace, for meditation. It opens up a very high level frequency that we may like to call in the New Age community the Rainbow Bridge, to bridge the gap from our realm to higher interdimensional realms where we can kind of receive new spiritual knowledge and new light codes. So the reason why I didn't talk about this yesterday is because I tend to believe that it's a little bit foo-foo. Now, I'm not saying that the Mayan calendar is wrong. I truly believe that that is the truest calendar that we should be abiding by. But again, as you know, the spiritual community just likes to kind of ride off of anything foo-foo. And if you listen to July 25th astro forecast, you would know that it wasn't high vibes at all. It was actually a pretty funky day. And seeing as we are in this slave prison of a matrix here in this 3D realm, and as the spiritual war gets deeper and deeper, that these quote unquote spiritual days that our ancestors used to, really look forward to and do beautiful work in, they are nothing but an energy harvesting event for the dark force agenda people. So I didn't bring it up yesterday in yesterday's energy forecast. I thought that the energy of the day was enough. We were prisoners of our mental plane. We were stuck in the mental plane with negative thoughts. We had negative feelings, negative memories come up. We were literally trapped in an internal battle. And the last thing I want to do is talk about this la foo-foo, rainbows and butterflies kinds of day and have everybody out there feeling like that there's something wrong with them, that they're not able to keep the high vibe, that, they wasted, their frequency, their vibration, their focus, their meditation on being trapped within themselves. The last thing I want to do is pour into this woo-woo spiritual new age bullshit and make people feel like they're doing something wrong, that they're an outsider, that, something's wrong with them. That's not what I'm here for. However, I think it is important to know that, if we're talking about important days, today is, technically speaking, the brand new galactic new year. And what this means is that Earth is aligned with the center of our galaxy. So we have the central sun, our Earth, our sun. Of course, we're in Leo season, the heart and soul of the zodiac. We're aligned with Cyrus. And of course, this aligns with the Orion's belt, which gives us the 8-8 portal. August 8th, that's what the Lionsgate portal is all about, because all of these alignments kind of piece together over the Pyramid of Giza, over the Sphinx. They are, technically speaking, energy grid anchors that receives all of this higher information from the cosmos, that charges up the Earth, that funnels in these light codes for basically distribution, not only into Mother Earth, but for her inhabitants, which just happens to be us. So, on the 8-8 portal, the Lionsgate portal, is when Earth and Sirius and the galactic center are in a perfect alignment. This is why we have such a spiritually intense day. That's why we're able to jump timelines and anchor in new soul contracts and do all kinds of spiritual work. And for you out there wondering what it is that you can do to tap into this, technically speaking, there's not a whole lot that we can do. It is due to your spiritual journey. It is due to your energy, your frequency, your vibration on whether or not you're going to choose to continue in this timeline and really, pour into it and build something out of it and learn the lessons, or whether you have kind of exhausted this particular timeline and whether you're going to go ahead and jump. Now, for any spiritual portal, we want to keep a high vibe. We want to hold on a vision, if you will, for the kind of reality that we want to manifest, invoke an emotion to back that as if we were actually already living said scenario. And that's how we manifest. So, I get a lot of messages about well, how do I work with the Lionsgate portal? Or what am I supposed to do? Or, who do I talk to about this? Where's the manager? There's really, it's already divinely scripted. It's in your soul contract. I mean, all we can really do is have control over our thoughts and our emotions on a good day, let alone a spiritually charged day. That's all we can do. You will know if you jump into a totally different timeline, because you will see the physical changes in your physical realm where, circumstances are totally different. You will know if you're staying in the same timeline and that there are still lessons to be learned in this timeline, that something needs a little bit more completion in this timeline before you advance to another one, when the Lionsgate portal comes and goes and nothing has really changed for you. Neither is good, neither or is bad. This is just an evolutionary choice point for our higher selves. Again, it's already been divinely scripted. We just want to keep a positive mind, attitude, emotion. That's for any day, though. So happy Galactic New Year if you're into that. And, again, it's a very trivial time to even talk about this because we're approaching a new moon, which is kind of dark. It's kind of hard to keep a positive vibe. Granted, the new moon in Leo is going to be a very positive energy to work with. If you haven't downloaded your moon guide, you should go and do that. But as we approach a new moon and there is no light in the sky, we do tend to sit and dabble in our darkness. So today we have 7 different aspects, and 6 of them involve the moon. Now, the moon being in her place of in power of Cancer means that we are feeling the power of our emotions, of our intuition, of our unconscious self, much more than any other placement. Anytime a planet is in its rulership, we're feeling that power, that energy more intensely, more dominant over the others. We have the moon interacting with Saturn here this morning in a way that isn't going to feel so good. Now, keep in mind that the moon in Cancer is very introverted, very emotional, hypersensitive. We're a little bit defensive, very protective. We are kind of introverted. We want to kind of stick to what is old, tried, tested, and true. We're very almost to a fault, overly attached to trying to keep things the same, even though they may be uncomfortable. And we want to just kind of keep in a familiar environment, keep our family and friends kind of close and kind of shut out the rest of the world. We're very connected to the home and activities that have to do with the home, especially nurturing those that we love in the home. But it's also a time where we're very insecure, where we're kind of lonely, where we're looking at, I'm going to say, past situations from a false set of eyes. And we tend to romanticize things a little bit just so that we can give ourselves permission to not have to make the changes that we know that we have to make in the here and now. So it's already a vibe if we're just talking about the moon being in Cancer. But the moon in Cancer is interacting with Saturn, the lord of karma, who is retrograde in Aquarius energy, who's giving us like this reflective time to look back and realize how many times we've given our own wants, needs, and desires the boot in order to put other people's wants, needs, and desires before our own. It is almost where we sacrificed what it is that we wanted and needed in life because we wanted to do what we thought others wanted us to do, what we thought others expected us to do. And right now, we're learning a very tough love life lesson on where it is that we've backburnered our own wants, needs, and desires for far too long. And all that it's really done is cultivated a little bit of bitterness and resentment within us. And we are in Leo season now, and Leo season sits across from Aquarius energy, which means that Leo season needs us to focus on ourselves, on our heart, on our soul, what makes us happy, what makes us individuals, what makes us unique, what is our talents, our skills, what we bring to the world. And without the guilt, without bringing into consideration what this would mean as consequences or repercussions for the roles and responsibilities and commitments that we've made to other people. Now, does that mean that we totally abandon the commitments that we've made to other people? No, but it does mean that we have to recognize where it is that certain roles and responsibilities have run their course, where it is that certain tasks and chores and commitments are currently sucking the life out of us, and where we've been putting too much weight, too much energy, too much focus, too much attention into making sure that everyone around us is doing okay. And we're not saving enough time, energy, attention, and focus to make sure that we're okay. So emotionally speaking, this is going to be a heavy energy because we feel the weight of the world on our shoulders. We feel the weight of those roles and responsibilities. We are semi-sensitive. We are a little bit somber. We are a little bit too serious in thinking about the obligations that we have in life. And because we're a little bit defensive and semi-protective over ourselves and those that we love, we're a little bit on edge when it comes to the weight that we feel like we're bearing on our shoulders and on our heart space, having to consider other people's happiness before our own. Now, this is going to get amplified. I laugh with hesitancy because this is going to be amplified when the moon goes ahead and squares Jupiter. So a square is a boxing ring. It's an inner conflict. Jupiter, of course, is the planet of growth and expansion, beliefs, blessings, abundance. And Jupiter is pretty much at a standstill in the cosmos right now in Aries energy because he is preparing to go retrograde just after the new moon in Leo peaks on Thursday. So what we know to be true is that anytime we are in a negative aspect with Jupiter, it means that we're focused on what it is that we want more of. Now, that doesn't sound so bad because we need to identify what it is we want more of in order to have dreams and visions and goals. But we want more love. We want more peace. We want more harmony. We want more money. We want more safety, security, stability. We want more connection. And this leaves us in a state where it's not enough for us to be all hyped up and inspired and motivated to go after that quote unquote more. What it does is it leaves us a little bit sad, a little bit somber, a little bit in the lack of mind state to realize all of the things that we currently don't have. Now, let me just say this. This also comes down to belief because Jupiter is about belief in ourselves. And in a positive aspect, Jupiter would give us a boost of confidence and optimism and really inspire us and motivate us and kind of renew our faith, our trust in ourselves, in the cosmos. but we're a little bit of an insecure little nutcase right now in this Cancer energy. We're introverted. We're kind of, letting our heart and our head dabble in the shadow parts as we approach this new moon. And Jupiter just magnifies whatever current state of mind and feelings that we're currently being triggered and activated in us, in order for us to be aware of it, in order for us to be in our full present moment on what doesn't feel good and what feels very uncomfortable, so that we can address it. We can feel it so that we can heal it. So this isn't going to feel good. This is not going to vibe at all. This is going to leave us probably overwhelmed, over a lot, just over it, over dramatic for sure, overly insecure, overly lonely. We want, need, and desire connection and intimacy so freaking bad right now that we're illuminated to the fact that we don't have it. And therefore, that puts us in a position where we are just lacking and feeling pretty lonely about it and feeling pretty bad about it. And this is kind of like the poor me, the woe is me storyline kicks in. And the moon then goes ahead and bumps into Venus, because Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and worth and pleasure and money, who is also in Cancer energy, this is going to be a full illumination, if you will, on our emotions, on how we may not be feeling lovable or worthy or valuable, how we may not be feeling safe or secure or stable within ourselves or within our relationships or within our money matters, all of the topics and themes that Venus rules over, happiness and joy. What we're in right now is a funk of realizing all the things that we're not happy with. And then the internalized battle continues, because the moon in Cancer has a tendency to want to put those rose-colored glasses on that, of course, Neptune being retrograde in Pisces right now has slapped off of our faces so that we can deal with real life as it is and not for a way that we wished it would be. Cancer energy tends to romanticize the past and romanticize the present moment to avoid having to make the changes that we know that we have to make. This is because we are overly attached to the way that things were and currently are. This is because we are overly attached to people, to identities, to routines, to whatever it is that you are having a hard time letting go and surrendering to, knowing damn well that you need a change in your life, but you can't seem to get out of your own way to make this change. So again, not very good vibes, not very good juju. Then we have Mercury squaring Mars. Yes, I'm laughing again. This is a sarcastic laugh because this is not fun. This is not good. So a square, again, is a boxing ring. Mercury is our mental plane. It's information. It's communication. It's how it is that we truly express ourselves. Mercury is currently in Leo, so we have a lot to say. We have a lot on our heart space. We are speaking raw. We're speaking authentically. We want to roar. We want to be heard. We want to speak our truth. And Mars, of course, the god of war, who is ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, even our anger, is frustrated as hell, irritated as hell, being in the fixed earth sign of Taurus. We're going low and slow. We are not seeing the progress that we want to see. We are not moving as fast as we would like. And Mercury squaring Mars right now is going to trigger and agitate the F out of us. Now, we gotta really be cautiously aware that we could just start verbal vomiting on other people. We could have an impulse to just open our mouths and be hateful. We are definitely going to have communication breakdowns. We are definitely jumping to the end goal far too quick. There is a process. May I remind you? I feel like I repeat myself all the time, but it's the nature of the beast, I guess. May I remind you, we're in the year of 6. 6 is about perfecting the skills and talents that we need to share with the world. It's also about perfecting and strengthening the foundation of our daily lives, our routine, the way that we take care of ourselves, the way that we are being of service to other people, our mental health. And as you may know, in a year of 6, we have to do things right. We can't be jumping steps. We can't be, fast forwarding. We can't be skipping the process. We do have to have enough patience to sit with the nitty gritty details, to do things right. Yes, we are running out of patience. Yes, we are frustrated as hell, but we have to slow the roll and do things right. This Mercury-Mars energy has a tendency for us to just want to fast forward, for us to want to skip ahead, to jump a couple steps, to speak out on things that we haven't even processed within ourselves, to allow our frustration, irritability, and anger just to pour out of our mouth with no freaking filter. We can find ourselves in confrontations. We can find ourselves in disagreements, communication breakdowns. We are not speaking as effectively as we think we are, which is just wide open for misunderstandings and miscommunications. We are super impatient. We have the impulsive nature of Mars in Leo energy, which is a fire energy. They share that in common. They just want to, stay in the moment, act now, think about the consequences later, which is absolutely not what we need to be doing right now. This Leo energy that Mercury is in is very dramatic, right? Very extra. And Mars, to be quite honest with you, is just fed up wading through this slow ass process of building new foundations, building this new identity, building this new reality. We're just a little bit impatient and frustrated. Not only that, we're going to find ourselves internally, we may not realize it, but internally there's a battle going on for power. Now, is our heart going to win? Is our head going to win? Or is our ego going to win? Because again, there are fragments of ego in both our heart and our head. And then there's full-on ego, which means that we're cutting off our intuition, higher self altogether. There's a battle going on. And if we're not careful, that inner competition could leak out of our physical bodies, and we could now be competing with other people for attention, for power, for, the spotlight, to be heard, to be right. We want to be the one to have the thought first, or to have the idea first, or to have the right opinion, or to push that opinion onto someone else. It is very, very difficult to have a healthy exchange under these particular influences. Now, that's a tough morning. That's actually into early afternoon. The good thing is, though, is that the moon is going to sextile Mars, which is a good sign. We're getting a little bit of help here. This is like the life raft is being thrown at us because emotionally speaking, the moon and Mars, who, like I said, is a little bit frustrated at the low and slow process that we're having to go through here right now. What this means is that the earlier cluster F of thoughts, emotions, and agitation is leading us to see where it is that we need to be a little bit more kind. First of all, to ourselves. Second of all, to the ones that we love. A little bit more nurturing. First of all, to ourselves. Second of all, to those around us. This is also where it is that we are turning some of these irritated, frustrated, aggressive types of thoughts and feelings into inspiration and motivation. So instead of, the grumpiness or the agitation paralyzing us and us not doing anything and therefore furthering the frustration of not seeing the productivity that we want to see, this is where we turn it around. This is where we build ourselves back up. This is where we have a little bit of a pep talk with ourselves. This is where we kind of, rein in that anger and use it for good instead of evil. The moon will be bumping into Mercury, though, in a way that would suggest that there's an outside activation or trigger that is really going to test our, I'm going to say, positive narrative and attitude at this time, because the moon is our heart space and Mercury is our head space, and we're trying to get along, but we can't get along. Why? Because a situation is popping off right now that is going to, A, really put us at war with ourselves, again, our heart versus our head, and B, put us at war or at odds with someone else, likely coming from a personal relationship, likely someone saying something that you don't agree with. Like I spoke about earlier, we're having this, miscommunication here today. This is a trigger. This is an activation that we don't have control over. What we do have control over is how we're going to either react to it out of ego or respond to it from our higher self. What we need to be consciously aware of is that the only thing that we have control over is our thoughts, is our feelings, is how we handle ourselves. So this is going to be a little bit of a test, I would say, and a little bit of a test on how we maintain the stability within ourselves too. We don't want to make friends and smooth everything over and avoid confrontation with other people outside of ourselves just to take that confrontation in to hash it out with us. Just, when we bite our tongue to keep peace with other people is the minute that we start a war within ourselves. So we don't want to do that, but it's hard to manage these energies because they're very conflicting, and they're supposed to be conflicting at this point in time because we're supposed to, quote unquote, lose our shit right before a new moon so that we can figure out, where new boundaries are needed and what we're being called to do, what our heart is asking us to do, and what we feel pulled away from and what we feel closer to. Like all of these things, all of this discomfort, all these activations and triggers are needed prior to a moon event. This is how we deal with our emotions. This is how we illuminate what's going on the unconscious level so we can bring it into the conscious level so that we can work with it and do something with it instead of having it dictate our reactivity out of our ego selves. So what I will say is that many of us are going to fail this test. Okay, let's just prepare to fail this test. Prepare for a little bit of confrontation outside of yourself. Prepare for a confrontation to take place inside of yourself. And why I say this and why I know that most of us are going to fail this test is because we wrap the day up with the moon in Cancer squaring, getting into the boxing ring with Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer who is now retrograde. Chiron, in this aspect, is exposing all of our wounds. And the day that we've had, we should have no problem figuring out where our wounds are. Whatever triggers you, whatever activates you, whatever irritates you, whatever ticks you off, whatever creates anger and frustration with you, those are wounds. Those are triggers. What we know to be true is that there's a primary root creating them all. What we know to be true is that when we examine that primary root of all of these reactivities, we can address where the wounds are. And let me tell you, 9 times out of 10, we go back to the first 7 years of our life where we get conditioned by our environment and those that have an authority figure over us. This is inner child stuff. We are in Leo season. This is the inner child wanting to, strip away the wounds and have that playful vibe and bring the curiosity back and bring the creativity back. But as adults, we are just bigger people housing our broken inner child wounds. And it is up to us to be aware enough to address these triggers and say, yeah, I spent the whole day frustrated. This person ticked me off and somebody said this, and for whatever reason, that really messed me up and blah, 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 blah. And when you are consciously aware of what is activating in you in certain situations, then you can sit down and organize those thoughts and those feelings and those memories and those triggers. And then you can see the pattern. And then when you see the pattern, you realize that a pattern is just repeated behavior. And when you recognize that the repeated behavior is getting you absolutely nowhere, you can alter the pattern. And when you alter the pattern, you get a different result. That is how we heal. That is how we better ourselves. That is how we improve. This is what this healing journey is all about. So needless to say, the very first day of our brand new galactic new year is going to be a tough one. Now, don't let this get you down, and don't let you get in a funk of thinking that this is going to dictate the next year of your life. Keep in mind, we are in the dark phase of the moon. We are about to approach the Lionsgate portal on 8/8. We have huge astro events still happening in this calendar year and in this galactic year that is constantly pushing us to be better. But in order for us to be better, we have to realize where we're not doing so good. And this day and yesterday were divinely scripted to activate our internal realm of pain, of trauma, of triggers, of activations, so we can get real, we can get raw, we can get vulnerable, again, Leo themes, under this new moon, creating new intentions, being raw and vulnerable and open-hearted enough to recognize where it is that our heart needs a little bit more healing. And the days building up to this new moon are going to be filled with triggers and activations in order for us to be aware enough of what it is within us that absolutely needs our love and attention.